So the bubble is really popping today as things are crashing to the downside. And I want to show you guys what's going on in our market. So first, look at this headline here. U.S. job cuts surged to highest January total since 2009. Wow, job cuts highest since 2009. If you remember the great financial crisis, you remember how ugly it can get. And that's the kind of numbers that we're talking about here. So this comes from a private employer company, Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. So they have numbers on this stuff. And they say job cuts last month jumped to 108,000. Job cuts last month, 108,000. More than any January since the global financial crisis. And I think what we're seeing right now basically is a combination of the dot-com bubble crash and the great financial crisis crash. I think it's a combination of these two things. We also have some more data from the BLS. They're saying the job openings are the lowest level in more than 5 years, and then more and more people are filing for unemployment. So again, we have job cuts that we haven't seen at this level since 2009, basically. Job openings are down, right? Just don't have that many jobs out there. People are losing their jobs, and then people are filing for unemployment. And you put that on top of what's going on in the markets, like it just numbers-wise, Bitcoin is absolutely getting clobbered. And this is like our number one most speculative asset out there. Or you could argue Dogecoin or whatever, Trumpy coin you want to talk about. But this is the king of the crypto, right? Bitcoin's now trading at the moment as of recording at 63,000, down 13% in 1 day. Down 13% in 1 day. In the last 6 months, it's down 44%. That basically tells you the story. People are just selling like nuts, and suddenly it's just fallen off a cliff, right? I mean, the line's just straight down. And the questions that everyone's asking right now is like, where's the bottom, right? People are losing their jobs. Markets are crashing. Where's the bottom? And you take a look at some of the solutions, because essentially what it is, if you watch financial news and financial TV stuff, all the CEOs then go on TV and they tell you about all of these grandiose plans and all this wonderful tech we're going to have in the future and how rich we're all going to be, right? Big tech shares slide for third day. Market's not buying it with AI stocks under pressure. I mean, how long can you tell people, okay, guys, this is our plan. We're going to spend billions of dollars. We're going to build a bunch of data centers. And if you're in Elon Musk's case, 1 million data centers in space. And that's actually his plan. I know it sounds stupid, but that's actually his plan. And then we're going to have all these robots and AI. We're going to be more productive. We're going to be so awesome. And you're all going to be rich. That's their plan. And when you announce it, this is just coming out just a few minutes ago from Amazon. Amazon stock falls 10% on 200 billion spending forecast, earnings miss. And they're just like dumping more and more money in this. Okay, guys. Okay, I got the answer. The stock is going down. Okay, so how about we spend more on AI because that's the future, bro, right? 200 billion spending forecast. And these numbers are pretty similar to both what Meta said and also I think Microsoft said this kind of stuff. And I guess they're all trying to outdo each other on how many data centers we can buy. And Elon Musk, well, hey, I'm the king of data centers. Let's get going on that. Great.
Other than, I'm a big crypto person. I'm the one that probably helped crypto more than anybody because I believe in it. And the reason I believe in it is because if we don't do it, Scott, I think we can say then China's going to do it. Right?
I mean, he's a big believer and we got to beat China, right? And essentially from Trump's point of view is, well, I got all these like tech bros that want to do AI and crypto. And I hear a lot of things. They say, sir, you're all going to be rich. Oh, okay. This is how ridiculous our markets are.
I'm not thinking about 2029. I'm thinking about 2100 or 2100, whatever we decide to call that year when we get there, right? We'll have 3 years worth of US dollar reserves, gets us to 2029. And we have 72 years right now of Bitcoin reserves, which gets us to 2100. That's the thought. And I think folks need to remember, if Bitcoin goes up 1.4% a year, we'll be able to pay for our reserve, pay for our dividends into eternity. That's 1.4%. And I understand there are people who are not as bullish on the asset class as we are. But we're not talking about a 40% return or a 30% return. We're talking about 1.4%. And of course, there's the downside scenario. Bitcoin goes down 50%. We can still pay our reserves through Bitcoin, through US dollar. We can pay our dividends through 2065. So there.
And they go on Fox News and they fool all their viewers. Guys, if Bitcoin just goes up every year, I mean, then we're going to be rich. It solves all of our problems. And, just 1 or 2 years of downside. Yeah, don't worry about that. We're looking at not the year 2099, but year 2100. Just you wait.
They see Gavin Newsom as this big beauty, but I would say I'd put up Donald Trump against him any day. I mean, here you have Donald Trump, who's in his very late 70s. The guy is absolutely handsome, incredible shape. He's married to the most beautiful woman in the world, and I'd put Donald Trump up against Gavin Newsom.
So basically, to this audience, you know what? Just vote for the more handsome guy. And even though Trump's an old guy, he's just like really, really handsome. He can't run again for president. I mean, he's just really, really handsome. And he's married to Melania, who's really, really pretty. Wow. That's our solution. And then buy Bitcoin. This is what a bubble looks like. And you're going to look back at this year and be like, what were these people thinking? Why would you put like a reality TV star as your president and then just is like, sir, Bitcoin's awesome, right? And then this is when you're seeing the bubble pop, basically, right? Crypto sell-off deepens, hitting strategy and pushing Bitcoin price down towards 67,000. And it's kind of funny because I was watching this throughout the day. The articles couldn't keep up with the crash because it was 63,000 something like that right now. Because you can only write these so fast. Bitcoin drops below 70,000, wiping out gains since Trump's win. If you've been following this, basically Trump gets an offer like on election night, and we watched this on live stream. And actually, I had the price of, true story, of both Bitcoin and Tesla up while we were watching it. And basically, that was good news at the time, and also for private prisons and all this kind of Trumpy trade stuff. But then now that essentially the bubble is deflating, you're all losing your jobs, and the money's flowing out of Bitcoin now. And a lot of this stuff is essentially hype. I'm sure you guys know. And this sort of news on, say, Bitcoin crashing like this really proves it's not a safety asset, because the Bitcoin people try to say, guys, when things get really ugly, people are going to retreat to Bitcoin because that's going to be a safe place to go. And in fact, it's actually been kind of crazy because lately it's been gold and silver. If you guys know, a lot of people have been buying up that stuff. But even that, like say in silver, this is one day also. Silver resumes its slide, plunging about 13% after short-lived rebound. It's been really, really ugly. Oh, okay, and it was even down 16%, I guess, in one day. This is just our market's the way that we are right now. And one thing that was really interesting, there's a couple things. One is, I guess a lot of this stuff is based on leverage / margin. Like, so people are borrowing money essentially to buy all this stuff. So that's why you see these like massive moves. And then when it starts to fall down too much, people get margin calls. So you got to sell all the stuff that you have and just try to pay off what you can. Some people get completely wiped out with these moves to the downside. And then there are certain levels. So I think one of the key levels they were talking about is like around 70,000, something like that. And we've already blown that. And that's where it was that one strategic. They bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin. And then like once it goes below that, then they're officially in the red. I know Tesla's got a bunch of Bitcoin, stuff like that. I'm not sure what level they bought at. But people have moved on. Crypto's not the hot thing anymore. And I guess people are more interested in betting markets. So if you want to bet on, who the candidate for each office is going to be, if you want to bet on the Super Bowl, if you want to bet on the weather, whatever, that kind of stuff, that's more entertaining to people these days. And a lot of money is flowing to that. So either that or the gold, metal, silver trade.
Shut up! I'm tired of winning. I'm tired of losing all my money. You promised us you made crypto great again. You promised us we'd be rich. The only people that are rich is you and your family, you absolute slime ball. You launched the meme coin. You launching vaporware crypto that no one wants. You get bribed by all the crypto officials. You pardon criminals to destroy the market. Eric Trump says Q4 would be unbelievable for our bags. Oh, it's pretty unbelievable. It's pretty unbelievable how much money I've lost. Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., you guys destroyed my life. The only person I would trust is Barron Trump because he's 8 feet tall. Barron, you tell me what to do, because right now, I hate the Trump family.
And that's a sentiment of just regular people. So obviously this guy's making a joke here. I think he is, at least. But this is this is what it is. It's all a grift. I think it should be obvious, but people are going to look back and try to understand, like, what happened? Like, where did the wheels fall off?
We've also started to get into the 21st century, a Bitcoin strategic reserve. We're not going to be buying that, but we are going to use confiscated assets and continue to build that up. We're going to stop selling that. I believe that Bitcoin reserve at today's prices is somewhere between 15 and 20 billion.
So they're talking about, guys, we're just going to hold this crypto. It's going to save us. And this actually is really interesting because one of the things that was going on with the whole Bitcoin sell-off is there was real concern, like, okay, are we going to bail out Bitcoin? And
bailouts of 2008, when powerful men lose money, they now want a government bailout. Does the Treasury Department or the various components of the FMOC have the authority to bail out Bitcoin?
Could you please elaborate? What exactly does bail out Bitcoin
Okay,
mean,
could you
Congressman?
instruct the banks of this country to buy more Bitcoin, or change banking regulations so that they are encouraged to do so in terms of the reserves that they're otherwise required to have?
Again, that within the context of asset diversification within banks, they could hold many assets.
They can, and there are different, but do you have the authority to order banks to buy Bitcoin or to invest U.S. tax dollars in Bitcoin or Trump coin?
I am Secretary of the Treasury. I do not have the authority to do that. And as Chair of FSOC, I do not have that authority.
So we're not going to see our tax dollars invested in crypto assets?
Well, why would a private bank be your tax dollars, Congressman?
Excuse me, I'm now asking about the money of our taxpayers, which you manage as Secretary of the Treasury. Is it going to be deployed into crypto assets?
We are retaining seized Bitcoin.
That's not exactly taxpayer money. You collect a lot of taxes this month?
No, that is an asset of the U.S.
It's an asset of the U.S.
It was government.
Are you going to invest in?
And I will point out,
Mr. Secretary, reclaiming my time, are you going to invest?
The asset seizure, that $1 billion of Bitcoin was seized, $500 million was retained, and that $500 million has become over $15 billion.
I can't even believe we're even having these discussions, but that's what it is. It's like, because essentially all the tech bros who, gave money to Trump's campaign and Trump people or whatever, they want to get bailed out. And so this is actually a real concern and a real conversation. Are we going to bail out Bitcoin? Because, for example, the Gemini dudes, right? The Winklevoss twins, I guess they're cutting jobs over there at their crypto reserve thing or whatever, their crypto company. And I think they're pulling out of multiple companies, closing offices and such. Basically, the bubble's popping on this. We'll read a little bit. It says, the crypto exchange run by billionaires Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss is slashing as much as 25% of its workforce and winding down operations in UK, European Union, and Australia, marking a major pullback for two of the industry's most high-profile figures among the rout in this sector. And, if you understand, again, we're talking about how far can this thing go down, and that's what people are taking bets on. So, for example, one person says, John Roque says, Bitcoin has lived through 5 substantial bear markets since 2011. Okay, we'll live through this one. That's the question. With an average drawdown of 80%, the smallest of those came in at 72%. Okay. So this could go as far as 80% down if you go to the previous cycles. If this cycle hits that threshold, the token would fall to about 35,200. For now, he's maintaining a target of 60,000 unless that point is also breached, okay?
When the Trump administration came into office, they immediately took steps to either halt, dismiss, or roll back over 100 enforcement actions and investigations against corporations in its first 2 months in office, with a very heavy concentration on financial services, consumer protection, and cryptocurrency, totaling over $3.1 billion in potential penalties avoided. Now, as a member of the Financial Services Oversight Council, is that a concern that you have raised within the council, all these immediate dismissals of cases against financial services firms?
Well, I think the Biden administration had an extinction.
Sir, please be responsive to my question.
I am trying, sir, and this back and forth is just eating your time, that the Biden administration had an extinction policy for crypto
This
assets.
is when Trump came into office. I'm going to go to the next question because you're not.
And that's what we're talking about here, right? So let me give you a basic gist of it. Trump people come in and their whole goal is to fire everyone in the government. It's just fire as many people as you possibly can. And news came out recently, they want to fire another 50,000, right? And then the idea would be you remove all of the government officials who protect consumers or people who regulate the markets. If you remove the basically regulators or move protections, what do you think is going to happen, right? And then they're going to try to blame Biden. That's basically what it boils down to. But we're going to look back in history and you're going to see, and people are going to question like, why were you all buying this like thing that doesn't even exist? Like, you know, these crypto and digital assets. Why were you like saying, oh my God, I'm going to vote for someone because I think he's handsome? Like think how crazy and whacked out this stuff is. And then it's no wonder that the bubble is popping. That's what we're seeing. So that's what's going on. I'd like to hear your thoughts, and I'll catch you all in the next video.